You already know it's your boy Tooez, and we're back with another video. This video will be covering a breakdown overall of my experience with the undisputed beta. We'll be talking about the things that the beta didn't do so well, the things that they did well, and things that I would like to see when it comes to the gameplay and overall experience for this game. I'm super excited for this game. I'm so glad I was able to get to play the beta on the third day. I'm excited. I can't wait for it to drop. It wasn't perfect. There is still some things that need to be smoothed out, but it definitely has the potential. So I do want to shout out and congratulate and commend Steel City for doing an incredible job when it comes to developing this game from scratch. So no more waiting. Let's go ahead and get into my raw, thorough review. We do have a lot of information to cover. Hopefully this video isn't too long. I have my notes. I would like to get all this information out at once. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with what the beta did not do so well when it comes to my experience. First off, we're going to start with fluent punches. I believe the jab could have been more poppy and more consistent. So when it comes to the walking stick, the jab being known as the walking stick, being able to keep your distance and your opponent at bay, I feel that the jab was more a 1-2 type of thing. I wasn't able to string together multiple jabs to be able to get the proper range that I wanted in the ring and to keep my opponent where I wanted them. It felt like after a while, once you played it, everyone knew that the damage wasn't equated properly, so you could just walk through whatever punches that were being thrown at the moment. So I think that a more fluent jab, more poppy jab on the go also, as we are able to operate in the free moving fight style, a little bit more like Ali, while I'm skipping around, moving back and popping my jab to be able to let my opponent know, hey, it's danger here. Second, I want to say in general, stringing punches together could have been better when it comes to combos. You know, we don't want it to be crazy spamming. However, we do want to be able to put these combinations together that are actually in boxing and actually in our mind. You know, if I want to do a jab, cross, hook, I would like to see that a little bit more fluent when it comes to the input of the buttons or when it comes to the analog fighting. So fluidity throughout the punches, the combinations could be a lot more fluent to allow us to put together some amazing combinations to keep our opponent guessing on the go. So when it comes to some of the punches that were being thrown, I feel that there was a lack of motion. Some of them didn't look so realistic when it comes to the hooks, the uppercuts. We've seen better. We've seen better. We want a boxing game that is real and not so arcadey that it's not boxing, but we want something arcadey enough to where it's still fun. Like, if it's too real, if it's too legit when it comes to boxing, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be what we want in a video game. And if we're just going around throwing these punches, it's not going to be realistic. It's going to take the actual fun away from it. So just a balance between true boxing, arcade video game type fighting, but the visual look to where we are satisfied to see how these punches are being strung together when they land on our opponent. And also, punches need a full range of motion. When it comes to the body physics, example, when it comes to the cross, when delivering the cross, it just felt limited. It didn't feel like a true cross. When you throw the jab and the cross will come across with the shoulder, turning the body to a certain form, giving you a certain extension with that punch. It just felt like it was very limited and it stopped at a certain point, which was a negative when it came to the fighter that was throwing that punch because they know the range stops there. I want to be able to fully extend that cross to reach across to hit my opponent beyond where they are, not where they're standing. We know when it comes to boxing, we're taught to punch through our object, through the opponent, beyond where they are, punch where they're headed and not where they are. So if we can get some more full body motion when it comes to these punches, the jab fully extended, even when you throw the hook, get the body to turn in a certain way. Just think about Mike Tyson. When it came to Mike Tyson throwing uppercuts, Mike Tyson would throw this uppercut so vicious, just you visually seeing it would just, you would be like, I don't want to get hit by that. So if we can get that implemented into the game, it would just make the overall gameplay, physics, and visual concept look even better. And of course, what we've been hearing a lot is stopping power. Now, of course, we don't want any cheese to where I hit you and you're done for in the first round. I mean, not altogether, because there was, when I think about Fight Night champions, there was one punch KO. When it happened to you, you hated it. But when you did it, you loved it. And it didn't also come so frequently. So if we could find a balance to where we could get the stopping power when it comes to the jab, when I'm not throwing a power jab, when I'm not holding on to the power button and I just throw a good stiff jab, it should cause my opponent to stop in their tracks, to have to rethink how they're going to come in. Because when it comes to, once again, true boxing, no one's just going to rush in, especially when your opponent has a good, swift, quick, stiff jab. You're not going to just rush in any type of way, not concerned about it. So I think the power behind certain punches, you know, whether it's how hard you hold the button to long press it or how quick you tap it, if that's something to be implemented. If I tap it quick, it'll be a quick jab. But if I long press it, it'll kind of be a stiffer jab. And if I hold the trigger, it will be a more powerful punch. So just overall, stopping power when it comes to the hooks, when it comes to the uppercuts, the body punches, I think it should affect our opponent to where even so, it would make them stop their combination. If they're throwing a combination and they get a little bit too over the top with it and I hit them with something, that should put a halt to what they were going to be doing, giving me the advantage to capitalize on what I want to do. So I know when we hear stopping power, we think, oh, well, the game's going to be broken. Nobody's going to want to fight. Everybody's going to be running. But if there's a true balance to where I'm going to make you think that you just coming in here is going to be a problem and it's going to cost you, it's going to make you think twice before you just dive right in and try to throw 2, 3, 4 punches at me. And the uppercut, speaking about the uppercut, when it comes to stopping power, the uppercut felt real weak. The uppercut did not feel like it had the power and the momentum that an uppercut should have. If I can remember correctly, it seemed more effective to the body, but the overall uppercut to the head was kind of weak, and it was a punch that you really didn't throw. Or you had to throw it from a distance. You had to throw it from a distance when, you know, in true boxing, you would never throw an uppercut from a far away distance. It's always a inside close counter type of punch. So the uppercut does definitely need work and a balance between normal punches and power punches. The normal punches didn't feel effective as they should, which made people have to rely on holding the power button to cause any damage or to get their opponent to consider how they approach their game plan. So just thinking about Fight Night, that's the most recent boxing game that we have to reference. When we're throwing certain punches, like I'm a type of fighter that fought with my jab and cross, I'll use triangle and square, but if I wanted a hook or uppercut or anything, I use the analog. And based off of my timing on these specific punches, I could actually cause true damage without having to hold the power button. It was very rarely that I threw a power hook or a power jab in the earlier parts of the round. I would work them down, then start to use it once they slow down and the damage is already done. But it just felt like within this beta, if you wanted to show any true sense of damage, you would have to hold on to the power button, which is a slower punch. It's a punch that could be seen a mile away. Of course, if you time it, you can get it. But I think there should be a balance between me just working my game plan, jab, cross, hook, setting it up, breaking my opponent down. I should still feel like I'm causing damage and doing enough without having to hold on to that power button. Next up, I feel like I had to give up blocking to punch and couldn't punch out of my defense. This is critical because in boxing, when we're taught to keep our guard up. We never want to keep our guard down. We keep our guard up. And within that, that is a fight style in itself. The catch and shoot, the parry off of the glove, we're able to still defend ourselves because we don't want to have two hands out there. You never throw two hands out there. You always have one answering the phone. You throw one and you don't release the other one until that one comes back. So when it comes to the ability to block and punch, I felt like I had to give up blocking in order to give a combination that I wanted to do. So if we could get implemented into the game a strategy to where I could still block and throw a jab, throw a cross. I could block and weave like Mike Tyson, block with my guard up, weave and throw an uppercut. This would be greatly appreciated because it just adds more dynamic and more of a strategy when it comes to fighting. Because if I have to give up blocking to punch, my opponent will actually catch on to that, and then they'll know, oh, once their guard is down, they're going to be going for offense. So then I could go ahead and try to trade with them or time something based off of them not blocking at the moment. Speaking of blocking, defense, the blocking kind of felt like a mini game in itself, which is good if it's implemented properly. Now, when I say mini game, I don't mean the mini game like in UFC when you're trying to get out of a submission. I just mean it felt more so, and I probably shouldn't have used mini game, but it just felt more dynamic, or had the potential to be more dynamic. When I was holding L2, I felt like a lot of punches were getting through by just me holding on to L2. It didn't feel like there was a ghost block, meaning if I hold it, I'm just going to block automatically. I felt like it was a chance or a potential for me to be more effective when I'm holding block. And when I move to these subtle positions to where the glove covers more of the face and more of the body, I seen that the block was a little bit more effective. I think, I could be wrong, because like I said, I would hold block and certain punches that I think should not have gotten through would actually get through and connect. And I was still not sure if that was me not blocking properly, or if it was something that the game was trying to tell me that I need to be doing, or if this is something that could be, added to the blocking system to where, based on my movement, slight, heavy, if I'm leaning, if I'm moving, I'll have a better chance of blocking, which keeps me having to stay on my toes on what my opponent is throwing. I just can't hold R2. I think if this is added to the blocking system, it brings this game to a whole different level. I didn't feel like there was a lot of decision needed to be made when it comes to blocking. I felt like you could just go into this beta and just swing however you wanted to swing, and you wouldn't have to pay the price for not blocking. Body movement, range of motion. This is something that I want to say Fight Night did well. Fight Night did real well when it came to the moving. Some may say it was cheesy. I feel that it was fluent, and you had a good range of motion when it came to moving your upper body. When it came to slipping, rolling, and dipping with your fighter, I felt that it was very fluent. And in Undisputed, it was kind of stiff. I would lean back, and I felt like I didn't go back as far as I wanted to, still get hit with punches. I would slip into punches in the sense of, because I was not able to fully duck down or roll how I would envision it in my mind. So I feel if we can get more range of motion, once again, not too arcadey to where it's not real boxing, but not too real where it's not fun. Um, Leaning and slipping, it felt too stiff. It just felt too stiff. Not enough time to escape. Freestyle fighting, the fighter freestyle, I feel like the control could be a lot better. There was some stuff that I seen in there where it was like the movement just didn't seem real. It seemed like Arturo Gotti was leaning forward while walking back or some crazy stuff. But I just feel like when it comes to this, you should be a little bit more loose. You should have a little bit more ability to freely slip. But I do think it should come at a cost of defense. I think if you come into a free fighter stance, a free fighter style, you're not going to be worried about traditional boxing, keeping your guard up. You're going to be feeling yourself, getting in your bag, doing what you do. And I think you should be more open to getting hit if you do not time your slips and your rolls properly. But I do feel you should be more light on the feet. And you've seen it, you can tell the difference, but it was a lot of times where I had to actually move around to see, am I in traditional or am I in the free fighter movement? And I think you should know automatically when you're moving. I should have more control of my player. Of course, possibly my block should be slower to come up because usually it's down. It's not, you're not blocking, you're moving around. So I think there should be a penalty for it, because if not, it's going to be the go-to automatically. And I felt like that's what the beta was doing. The beta would cause you to go automatically into the free fighter movement, just to get the fluent fighting style that you wanted. Of course, we know the penalty when it comes to stamina needs to be increased. I don't think there was any penalty when you move and you slip, which I think there should be. And just overall, the one knockout that I got in the beta was when my opponent's stamina was low. However, there were plenty of times to where the stamina was beyond depleted, and I still could not get them out of there. And they were still able to keep up with me when it came to punches. It was very seldom that my stamina ran low just on my fight style, but I just feel like the penalty behind being gassed should be greater. You should be able to cause more damage when the person is gassed out. Speaking of damage, I do think there should be more visual damage. I wanted to see blood. Of course, I know you only could go so far with that based off of the dynamics of corner stoppage, referee stoppage. However, once again, if I have a snappy jab and my jab, excuse me, is being effective, I should see nosebleeds. I should see swelling in the certain areas where I'm landing. And I don't think out of all the fights I played during the beta, and I've done damage, I didn't see a cut. I rarely seen bruises. I did see the face turn red, but I think we need more visual damage, because if I cut your eye, it's going to cause me to want to have a game plan around that, work around that. It's going to cause the defender to have to focus on that side, which gives me advantage to open up other things out there in the ring. So I just think a little bit more visual damage would be super pleasing to the player, because you feel like you're being effective. You feel like you're doing the proper damage, and it just throws a twist when it comes to whose game plan can be implemented and won at the end of the day. So switching over to what the beta did well. Most important, I do want to say there is a true skill gap in this game. True, a real skill gap. Now, what is the skill gap? The skill gap is if you have true boxer IQ and you understand boxing and what to do in the ring, you will win most of the time, because you're not able to just run in there and do what you want to do based off of the skeleton of how this game is built. I've noticed playing in the beta, me knowing boxing to get away from the power hand, to cut the ring off, and to move and throw the right punch was super effective. I went undefeated just off pure boxing. I really never just went gun ho swinging everything, because I just don't feel like this is that type of game. This game looks too good and it has too much potential to go out there and just throw anything and everything. You could really get down to the science of boxing, and I feel that's where the true skill gap lies. And that's what we want, because this community, a lot of people either watch boxing, definitely love boxing, or either has contributed or participated in boxing in some form, to where we have an understanding versus the casual that just wants to get in here and mash buttons. I don't think that that should be the advantage. We should have the advantage, and it makes it more competitive when we face each other to see whose skill, whose IQ is more on point, and whose game plan is going to be better. So that's the number one thing that this game did well. It's showing that it has the potential to continue to grow in, is the skill gap based off of boxing IQ. And also understanding the distance. This game really displayed how important distance is, knowing how far you were. I can't think of the two female fighters' names, but one was shorter, one was taller with a longer arm reach. And I swear, when you fought with the taller fighter, you would get demolished on the inside if you did not know how to use her reach. So that's something that is another thing going towards skill gap. You need to know your fighter strengths. You need to know their fight style so you can implement how they fight to the advantage, to win the fight. So understanding range, understanding distance, and being effective in those areas, this game really displayed that properly. It truly did. And most of the stuff that the beta did, it was like the things, besides the things that I said that were bad, everything was pretty good. It just needs to be polished. There's certain things that it just needs to be more fluent. It needs to be adjustments and balance when it comes to power, stamina. But overall, this game shows the potential to be the new franchise, the new number one franchise when it comes to boxing. It's still competing. Based off of this beta, it did not just blow Fight Night out of the water. Just being honest, Fight Night Round 3, Fight Night Champions, they were good games. They were not perfect. However, when it came to boxing, they were incredible games. So Undisputed, they do have a work to do, but they're not so far off to where it's impossible. They're not so far off to where the community is like, no, this is not it. They actually have the support of the community. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Shout out to everyone who's been contributing their knowledge, because we're behind them. We really trust them. We see what they have done thus far. Now they just have to continue to meet the mark. We know it's not going to be perfect, but it is possible for them to do it. So certain things that I think the game could add that will just be the cherry on top, that will make this game sweet overall. And some things may already have in the works. Some things I may not be aware of, but this is just my pointers. Just thinking about your fighter and being able to create a fighter, having the ability to create your own fighter, but not just create your own fighter, but if there's a way that they can implement a system, a fight style system. Just remembering Fight Night had the inside, the out, the brawler, counter puncher, so on and so forth. That was kind of sandbox, However, if they're able to implement a certain fighting system to where you could almost say you would never fight the same fighter, you would never run into the same opponent, because they tweaked it to the degree that their fighting style is just different. That would be so unique and so amazing, because you would always have to learn and have a new game plan. You wouldn't be able just to go in there and say, I'm just going to rely on my straight, my power straight, or just rely on my uppercut. But you would have to actually have a boxing game plan and adjust and learn your fighter. It would take the first couple of rounds, just like in true boxing. You would have to learn, fill out, get to see what their adjustments are, what they're baiting, how they're moving, and then you'll be able to work from there based off of the tweaking and the ability to uniquely develop your own fighter. So that's something I think that could be implemented. Also, if I know there's going to be belts in the ranking, the online, but one thing I liked about Fight Night, if I could remember it correctly, is the gyms. You know, being able to have these gyms and battle against other gyms, having top tier fighters sparring amongst each other within these gyms. To me, I think it was cool. Yeah, it was a little hectic when it came to a power trip of who started the gym, who's the owner, all of this type of stuff. Those things could be worked out. But if there was a party to belong to, or collective, to where you could say, look, these are my guys, these are the people that I'm sharpening and tuning up with, and we'll have a rivalry day. I really enjoyed that. It was exciting when, you were a part of the number one gym and you were in the ranking with the best of the best, getting better. I think that's something that's cool to me that could truly be adding to the overall aspect of this game. And what else? I want to make sure I'm covering everything. That's pretty much it that I have off the top of my head, because I went through exhausting my notes. But yeah, the beta was fun. I like it. Even to this day, I'm still wanting to play it. I only got to play it for 1 day out of the 3 days. Still don't think the 3 days would have been enough. I can't wait till the game comes out. Hopefully it's another opening in the beta to where we can play an exhibition mode to be able to fight against a computer. Hopefully we get a beta leading up to the early release, to where we can really fill out this game. I don't know. I just want to play it. I'm super excited. Yeah, Undisputed, I applaud you. I thank you for, having the guts to do this and start from scratch. There's a lot of people out there that said you couldn't do it. A lot of people that said it couldn't be done, but you're proving them wrong day by day. You guys were working tremendously during the beta. You guys were updating and patching and doing what you needed to do to make sure we had the best experience. So truly thank you, man. Can't wait. Undisputed, you got something here. You really got something. So if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about, if you agree with what I said, if you disagree, what you think I missed, if I've given any misinformation. I'm willing to be corrected because I don't know it all. I'm still learning, and I just want us to all have the best experience and the best game when it comes to this game. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.